Welcome to the Growthpoint Organization. These are the tag rules. This is our first episode on the series of the tag rules. TAG, being an acronym for Think, Act and Grow, is the cornerstone of the Growthpoint Organization, which was started by David Wyllie in 1974. Those who have been on this experience would know that it is a strict program raising the active participant out of mediocrity and into exceptional performance and stardom. Part of this in-your-face, no BS nature of the workshop were the rules. And while they were necessary to running a tight ship on course, they also reflect rules that permeate throughout the entire universe, and therefore are particularly pertinent in our lives. Joining me now is David Wyllie. And today we will be tackling if, can't, and try. Hi Dave, how are you doing?
I'm doing very well, Bart, and you?
Very good, excellent.
That's great.
Thank you. So the first rule that we will be tackling on the series of the tag rules is the if, can't, and try. And those are words that on course, we definitely shouldn't be using. But before we tackle exactly what those words are, why are words so important? Why should we be focusing on the words that we use in everyday life?
All right. Well, I first became aware of the concept way back reading the Bible many years ago, where they said, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word became. Now, after lots of meditation, I realized that you could not actually utter a word unless a thought process had happened in the background. Usually a thought process that is an unconscious process or subconscious process. And we actually manifest consciousness as reality. And our words bring those thoughts into the possibility of manifestation. So our words are hugely important, and we can create a very negative world for ourselves using words, or we can create an incredibly positive world using our word. So yes, our words are everything.
So our words effectively make us who we are, right?
That's right.
Absolutely. No, good. So onto the actual words themselves. The words that we shouldn't be using on course, and we were fined heavily for using these words, are if, can't, and try. So let's tackle the first one. If. What's the problem with if? Why not use the word if?
All right. Firstly, if's just an acronym. All right. It stands for instant failure. Okay. How many times, just think of your own life, how many times have you said, if only, or if I was younger, or if I had have been born at a different time, or if I was a different sex? We can carry on. If is an excuse, a justification. And when we use our intelligence to make justification or excuses in our lives, then we are setting limitations that will stop us from doing all the amazing things we're capable of doing. Okay,
the next word. The next word was can't. Can't, obviously it's a negative word, but what is the issue with can't?
All right. Firstly, when I was a much younger man, it wasn't even in the dictionary. I believe it's now actually in the dictionary. Can't is a completely limiting word. You add the apostrophe T to one of the most amazing words in the world. I can is limitless. And I can fits perfectly into the limitless environment that we live in, our total environment of a limitless universe, or what's the word I'm looking for? A infinite universe. We live in a world of infinite possibilities, and the reality is I can do anything that I can imagine. Right. By exactly the same token, I can't do anything that I believe I can't do.
Right. Okay. The last word was try. Tell us about try.
All right. Well, if I asked you to pour me a glass of water, and this is one of the examples I've used on the course for years. Would you have to try?
No, absolutely not.
No, you wouldn't. You just simply go and do it. The only reason why we ever try anything is because we're actually full of BS. And we're justifying why we have no intention of. And that justification can be conscious or it can be an unconscious justification, but it's still a justification. When we don't believe we can do something, we say, I'll try. And we've been taught from the time we were tiny, or almost all of us have been taught from the time we were tiny, even if you can't do it, at least try. But the point is, in the trying, we are acknowledging that we can't. And because we are acknowledging that we can't, we are unconsciously shooting ourselves in the foot all the time. So we've got to basically eliminate those three words that we use, which are all really come back to justification.
Mm. So one of the things that we that comes to mind with try, and I mean we did have that on this little ticker tape, but is Yoda that comes up in Star Wars, which is do or do not. There is no try.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay. It's a simple. The Yoda in Star Wars said it so beautifully. Did he say do or do not, or do or not do? Or I can't remember which way around it was.
Do or do not.
But there is no try. Not, yeah. Okay. It is so beautiful. And that's the absolute truth of it. Either we're getting on with what we are going to do, or we're not getting on with what we are going to do, and we are just full of nonsense, and we are conning ourselves and everyone around us that, well, at least I will try.
Sure.
And there's no point. All we're doing is we're wasting energy.
Absolutely. And I understand that you have another word as well that you've now added to this whole mix, which is sort of as a bonus word, and that word is should. Why should we or shouldn't we?
Yeah, well, the moment we get should programmed into us, we're actually buying into other people's values. We get told that we should be good children, we should be obedient children, we should have better manners. I mean, we can go on forever. I should put more effort into my schoolwork, or whatever. But none of the shoulds are coming from me. They're coming from me buying into some authority figure taking control of my world for me, instead of me working from my inside, doing what I know I'm supposed to be doing with my life.
Great. So one of the things that we there's as much as we shouldn't be using these words. I mean, why shouldn't we be using these words in general? These words in particular, why shouldn't we be using them?
All right, because basically what they're doing is they limiting us in our possibilities. The moment we allow even if it's a completely unconscious or subconscious thought, to enter into the process that we can't do something. I mean, the only reason why we're trying is because we don't think we can. The only reason why we're saying if is because we probably don't intend to anyway.
So they're effectively creating limitations.
Yes,
right? So
we are putting our own brakes on, we are creating limitations, and we are killing a process that is actually infinite. We are incredible beings full of infinite possibilities.
Now, if we had to eliminate those words, so obviously on course, we would basically be getting a demerit every single time that we said one of those words. So we would have a strike against our name. There were consequences, and there were increasing consequences as the universe also gives us compound consequences effectively. So we obviously did not use those words. Is there any words that we should be replacing instead of using if? Should we be using something else? Can't, try. Should we be using other words, and maybe to create possibility rather than the limitation in our being.
Yeah, well, what I've done is I've taken if out of my own vocabulary and put when, because maybe I can't do something right now because I don't have skill or whatever. And instead of saying if I knew how to do it, I rephrase what I'm saying for myself, and I say when I have learned how to do it, when I have mastered this. All right, so when gives me hope. It's not the answer, because the fact that I've given myself hope also doesn't mean I'm going to get on with the job, but at least I've taken away the negative starting point of where I'm shooting myself in the foot. So when frees us up to give us all kinds of possibilities. And you probably remember on course we used Rudyard Kipling's famous poem, If.
Correct.
All right, and I actually made you guys learn it.
Yeah. But
Right.
but there was
I made you
particular difference,
transpose it first into when I can keep my head when all about me are losing theirs and blaming it on me. All right, and turn it into a message of hope that we were giving ourselves as an auto-suggestion program instead of a limiting program saying that only when I can do all these things will I be a man, my son, which is the last
absolutely
line in the poem.
Yeah.
All right.
Try. So trying.
Right.
I mean, so we obviously need to do or do not. There is no try. What should we be using instead?
All right. I will.
Okay.
All right. And I will again gives us hope. There's a difference between I will and I'm doing it, but I will is a imposing of my will. It is making a contract. I will do this. I'm giving my word. And one of the things that's hugely important in our life is that we commit and we give our word to everything that we do.
Absolutely. And the other aspect of it is that we won't either. So I will or I won't.
Yes, I will or I won't.
I don't have to do something, or I don't have to. You know, it's not an absolute.
Okay, most people, when they're sucking up to us and we ask them to do something they don't want to do, they say, well, I will try.
Yeah.
Right. And my rule is as soon as somebody says to me, I will try to do something for you, I know they have no intention.
Absolutely. And there's an aspect, obviously, to this in terms of I will or I won't, in the sense of I'm making a decision. I'm making a decision that I am going to do something or I'm not going to do something, but at least I've decided. And I suppose it's another tag principle in general, but that also forces, by replacing that word, that also forces that aspect of I'm going to decide to do this or not to do this as well.
Yeah, well, one of the greatest powers that we have is our power to choose. And most people don't realize that they are choosing every minute of every day. Everything that they ever do, they are choosing. Just like we are choosing the words we use, we're choosing the emotions that accompany those words. We are choosing all the time. And if we don't start choosing possibilities, by default, we are choosing impossibilities.
Absolutely, yeah.
So it's hugely important that we swing our ability to manifest that which we want in our lives by letting go of all the things we don't want or believe we cannot do, and embracing with every ounce of our consciousness all the things that we can do.
Absolutely. Last word is can't. What should we be replacing can't?
Well, just simply with can. I can do this.
Absolutely.
All right. And then you start adding things like I can and I will.
And I am.
And I am. And all of a sudden we have a stream of energy that's all flowing in the direction of creativeness, instead of energy that's sowing doubt and breaking down our possibilities.
And these words instead, all of these words, instead of having if, changing these words to when, I can, I will, and I will or I won't, but I will, I can, when, these now start to create, possibilities rather than limitations of the words that we eliminated from our vocabulary.
Yeah, and we live in a universe of infinite possibilities. And we in ourselves are beings of infinite possibilities. You know, if you just go back a few years, everything that we currently take for granted, just doing what we're doing today now, was
Absolutely.
physically impossible 40 or 50 years ago. But somebody had a crazy idea in their head that revolutionized the world. The smartphones that we all take for granted were science fiction just a few years ago. But someone took away all the limitations in their own imagination, and they worked out how to do it instead of justifying why it can't be done.
Absolutely. Good. Well, Dave, I suppose also the technical, you mentioned that a few years ago we would have never even imagined doing this. Just a few weeks ago we would have never imagined doing this together, because just from the technical know-how. But because I can and I will, already we're doing this thing together, which is a wonderful thing. Thank you.
Yeah, I never thought I would be spending time talking to a camera.
Absolutely. But and here we are, because we can and we will, and
yes,
we
exactly.
do, rather than trying to do. So yeah, thank you very much, Dave. And we look forward to obviously seeing you for the next one. For the next rule that we're going to get through on this series of tag rules.
Yeah, and there's a lot of exciting things tied into all of them. Remember, in wrapping up, that they are not just tag rules, they are actually life rules.
Absolutely.
That bring universal law into effect in our consciousness.
Absolutely. Thank you, Dave. So as we've just learned, the words that we use can either create limitation, such as with the words if, can't, and try, or we can change our minds and therefore change our words to create infinite possibility. So change your vocabulary from if to when, can't to I can, and try to I will, and see how your world will change. If you want to know more about this process of conscious manifestation, David will be hosting a workshop on Saturday, the 22nd of August. For more information, go to growthpoint.org or mail David on david@growthpoint.org. See you for the next episode of the Tag Rules. See you then.